When was the last time you heard nothing? I mean absolutely nothing. No music, no podcast, no inner monologue planning tomorrow's meetings, just silence. Can't remember? Well, here's something delicious. Carl Jung discovered that every second you spend running from silence, you're running from the only thing that can actually save you. And the joke, the cosmic joke of it all, is that what you're running from isn't empty. Silence isn't vacant. It's so full of everything you've been desperately seeking that one glimpse of it would shatter every story you tell yourself about who you are. But we can't have that, can we? So we stuff our ears with earbuds, our minds with other people's thoughts, our days with beautiful distractions. The moment there's a gap in conversation, somebody panics. Oh, the weather's been strange lately, hasn't it? Or we reach for our phones, that glowing rectangle of endless chatter. Because God forbid we should have to sit with ourselves for 30 seconds without the protective armor of noise. And this is precisely where Carl Jung becomes absolutely fascinating. Because while everyone else was trying to figure out what makes people tick by asking them questions, Jung discovered something rather shocking. The psyche reveals itself most profoundly when we shut up. Now, Jung was a peculiar fellow. Here's a man who built a stone tower with his own hands. No electricity, no running water, just so he could sit in medieval silence and listen to whatever bubbled up from the depths. His colleagues thought he'd gone mad. "Carl, what are you doing? We have offices in Zurich." But Jung knew something they didn't. He knew that in our desperate flight from silence, we're actually running away from the most intimate relationship we'll ever have, the one with ourselves. You see, Jung made this rather disturbing discovery. The unconscious doesn't speak English or German or any language really. It speaks in images, in feelings, in those peculiar coincidences he called synchronicities. And you can't hear any of it over the din of your daily mental chatter. It's like trying to hear a whisper at a rock concert. Here's where it gets interesting and a bit uncomfortable. Jung said that everything we refuse to acknowledge about ourselves gets shoved down into what he called the shadow. All the bits we don't like, all the truths we won't face, all the parts of ourselves we've decided are not me. And where does the shadow live? In the silence, in those moments when the ego finally stops its endless commentary. I remember reading about one of Jung's patients, a very proper Swiss banker who came to him with terrible nightmares. In his dreams, he was a wild dancing shaman, half naked, covered in paint. The poor man was horrified. "Dr. Jung, what does this mean? I'm a respectable citizen." And Jung, with that twinkle in his eye, suggested that perhaps the dream was showing him exactly what he'd buried. The ecstatic, the primitive, the alive part of himself that didn't fit into his three-piece suit. But here's the catch, and Jung was absolutely brilliant about this. You can't meet your shadow through thinking about it. Oh no! The shadow doesn't respond to intellectual analysis any more than a cat responds to a reasoned argument about why it should get off the kitchen counter. You have to descend into silence, into what Jung called active imagination, where you stop directing the show and start watching what emerges. Now, modern people find this absolutely terrifying. But what if I discover I'm not who I think I am? Well, surprise! You're not. You never were. That carefully constructed personality you're wearing, it's what Jung called the persona, literally the mask. It's useful for navigating dinner parties and job interviews, but it's not you. The real you is far stranger, far more interesting, and here's the kicker, far more whole than that social costume you've been wearing. Jung discovered this during what he called his confrontation with the unconscious. For years, this respected psychologist would go down to his lake house and play like a child, building little stone villages, talking to imaginary figures, painting strange mandalas. His colleagues whispered, "Jung's lost it." But in that silence, in that space where the rational mind finally shut up, something extraordinary happened. The psyche began to reveal its own intelligence, its own wisdom, its own peculiar sense of humor. And isn't it funny how we'll do anything to avoid this? We'll meditate, but with an app telling us what to think. We'll do yoga, but with music and instructions and the perfect outfit. We'll even go on silent retreats where we're silently busy following a schedule of silent activities. Anything but actual, unstructured, terrifying silence where we might actually meet ourselves. Jung noticed that the psyche has this wonderful trick. The moment you create real silence, real space, it starts producing. Dreams get vivid, synchronicities multiply. You'll think of someone and they'll call. You'll have a question and find the answer in a randomly opened book. It's as if the universe itself starts conspiring to wake you up, but only, and this is crucial, only when you stop drowning it out with your own noise. Here's what's really wild. Jung discovered that in true silence, you don't just meet your personal unconscious, all your repressed memories and forgotten experiences. Go deep enough, and you hit what he called the collective unconscious. Suddenly, you're dreaming symbols that appear in Aboriginal art and medieval alchemy. You're having insights that echo ancient wisdom you've never studied. It's as if silence is the password to a vast library of human experience that's been there all along, waiting. But we're so clever, aren't we? We've invented 1,000 ways to avoid this encounter. I'm too busy. I'll do it when I retire. I need to read more Jung first. Beautiful excuses, all of them. Because we know, somewhere deep down, that real silence is revolutionary. It changes everything. Once you've heard what the psyche has to say when the ego finally shuts up, you can't unhear it. Once you've met your shadow, you can't pretend it's not there. Once you've touched the collective unconscious, you can't go back to believing you're just a separate little ego bumping around in a meaningless world. Jung put it rather beautifully. He said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." But here's the thing, you can't look inside while you're constantly chattering, constantly distracted, constantly fleeing into the next moment. The awakening happens in the gap, in the pause, in that terrifying moment when you finally stop running from yourself. So here's the cosmic joke, the final paradox. We spend our lives desperately seeking ourselves in experiences, in relationships, in achievements, in spiritual practices. But the self we're seeking, it's been sitting there all along, waiting in the silence we've been so carefully avoiding. Jung knew this. He knew that the greatest journey you'll ever take is the journey inward. And the only ticket you need is the courage to finally shut up and listen. The question is, when will you stop filling the silence with noise? When will you dare to sit in the quiet and see what emerges? Because I promise you, and Jung would promise you, what you'll find there is far more interesting than anything you could think of. The psyche has been waiting your whole life to tell you its secrets. All you have to do is give it the silence it needs to speak. But don't take my word for it, or Jung's. That would just be more noise, wouldn't it? No, the only way to know if any of this is true is to try it yourself. Turn off the phone, close the door, sit in the silence, and wait. What emerges might just be the most important conversation you'll ever have. The one with the stranger who's been living inside you all along.